we had about 5 dress rehearsals. So the first one was probably about 3 years ago, and the palliative care team and the district nurses came then, but I didn't need them because he wasn't that sick, and he was convinced he wasn't dying. It was sheer denial that kept him alive for 5 years, really. I felt they didn't hear very well that I didn't need them, and I felt that I wasn't really listened to at that stage. So I had a bit of an attitude about it, and Jeannie Spring's my GP, so I rang her up and said I'd yelled at the nurses, and she said, please don't yell at nurses, yell at me, but it was a bit late for that, really. Then Alan got sicker, and because I'm a bit stubborn and I thought I could do it myself, and I could do all the caring, I didn't reach out soon enough, really. One morning he got up and he'd wet himself about 3 times, and I thought, I can't do this, it's too hard. So I rang the district nurses, and they came around, and they were fabulous. So a catheter was put in, and then a friend of mine called Teresa Lynn arrived like Mary Poppins with an umbrella and a bag, and she moved in, and my sister-in-law moved in, because up until then I was doing the night shift, so we had a baby monitor, so it meant I didn't sleep. Plus I was working as well, so it all got pretty tough. So he just got sicker and sicker. Palliative care came into play, Jeannie Spring, Amanda came into play, and the district nurses and the carers. So Alan was a fiercely independent, stubborn West Coaster really. So it took me a couple of months to convince him that he might not need them, but I did. So thin that you could see his body was going to break down, and I was really worried that he would get bed sores before he died, and then I didn't know how I would care for him. So I went up to see occupational therapy and said I needed a bed, and they weren't helpful. They said the boss of OT would ring me, so she rang me and she said, I said, we need a palliative care bed. And I went and saw Kerry Medimer at the home hospice. Now they used to have equipment, but they don't anymore because of health and safety stuff. There's no beds here for palliative care. When I got the bed for Alan, and I had to behave really badly to get the bed, believe you me, and I don't like doing that. But according to Sandy and Alison, there were 6 families in town that needed a bed, and I got the only bed. So what happened to the other 5 families? She said, we'll have to assess them. I said, come for your life. Well, I wasn't here. I went out because I would have lost the plot. And my friend and the district nurse dealt with her. They wanted Alan to stand up, and well, he couldn't even stand up. He had no muscle left, nothing left, nothing to stand up with. So 24 hours later, the bed was in and the chair was in. There must be a way just to get that. If the palliative care nurses say a bed's needed in that home, it should just arrive. I talked to the district nurses, and they said that they were doing a bit of an assessment up there, because I said, surely it's cheaper to do palliative care in the home than what is in the hospital. But the bosses at powers that be reckon that it's not. I mean, I'm not sure about that, but I can't see how it would be more expensive. When you want scissors, you can't find them. So there's no district nurses on call. You can get one if you're really desperate, but it's not easily done. So again, I think some people, if they've got the confidence, we could handle the night shift, and we've got a couple of nurse friends, so if anything went too awry, we could find them. Well, you're just so thankful, because the bed made a difference in that all the linen was delivered. It was just all came and it disappeared, and it was all done. Never had to do any washing apart from his personal stuff. We had a system with Jeannie Spring and the chemist, because he had a huge amount of drugs. So that was all. If I run out, and every so often he wouldn't tell me till 4 o'clock on a Friday that we needed something. And often the doctor had finished, but Jeannie does text prescriptions, so you could just, I don't know how many people get Jeannie's phone number. I had it. I would never use it outside of Alan, but she was just absolutely wonderful. And she would come and spend just hours here with him. She was just amazing. So anything that makes, because if you're caring, you become emotionally and spiritually bankrupt, really. I become so exhausted that when he died, it was just this huge relief for about a week that the grief got me by surprise. It hadn't occurred to me that I would grieve. Isn't that silly? But I was so relieved that this intensity had finished. And about a month later, it got me. And it got me completely by surprise. We'd have 3 or 4 people in here, and after he died, it just stopped. So there needs to be some sort of closure event, like I felt quite lonely because I'd had all these people and they sort of raced over and got the bed and the chair and then everyone disappeared. And I went and found them because I knew what I needed. I knew I needed to go and find Alison and Sandy and say thank you, and I needed to go and thank the district nurses. I knew what I needed to do, but not everyone would know that.
Hearing Trish's story, I feel that it is a real opportunity for us to discuss the process of the provision of equipment for people with palliative needs, and it's really sad that this is the experience that she's had, that she will take with her from the occupational therapy department in the provision of a hospital bed for her sick partner, and I really feel for her, and I'm sorry that she felt that way. From our perspective, there have been some issues in the past around the provision of particularly hospital beds for people who want to remain in their own home for their end-of-life cares. We endeavour always to make sure that people have access to the right equipment at the right time so that they can be cared for appropriately in their own homes, and more this is what we're trying to provide. It has been a real learning opportunity for us in occupational therapy and as the palliative team, along with the palliative care nurses and the district nurses. And since this time with Trish and her experience, we've put a lot of energy and a lot of work into establishing a process where we all work together as a team to provide appropriate equipment and care for people who have palliative needs and their end-of-life cares. So having seen this interview, we've come so far in a reasonably short amount of time. I think over the past 3 months we've established a project group in the palliative team. We're doing much more joint working with OT and district nursing and the palliative care nurses. We're taking the opportunity for our 2 weekly meetings to really reflect and review the work that we're doing, and we're now in a position where it's not about providing specific pieces of equipment asked for by the district nurses. It's about going in as a team and assessing patient need and ensuring that people have what they need at the right time. We've also put in a lot of work to work with Enable Palliative and other agencies so that if we don't have access to that equipment that the person needs on the coast, we can get it, and we can get it within 24 hours. So it doesn't matter anymore that we only have 6 beds on the coast, because we have access to however many we need when we need them, and we have funding to provide that. So there's a lot of work with Hospice Trust, with the other agencies in the community and with the palliative team to be able to provide a much more patient-focused service to really keep the person and their family and whānau supported and ensuring that their needs are met.